I do not recommend Fight Life Vanguard. It's boring, it's bland. I literally could not force myself to play more than an hour of it. If that's all you wanted to know, then feel free to click away now, though I do ask that you leave a like and a subscription to the channel before you do. If you'd like to know why exactly this game is so disinteresting, then watch on. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman, and welcome back to the channel. Hello everyone, if you enjoy what I do, including the occasional review of turn-based tactics titles such as Fight Life Vanguard, whether they be good or negative, then a like on this video and a subscription to the channel would be very much appreciated. Thank you so very much. So yeah, just because we are in a renaissance of turn-based tactics and turn-based strategy games does not mean that every one of those games is going to be a banger. Heck, it doesn't even mean that they're going to be good, and unfortunately that's exactly where we're at with Fight Life Vanguard. I don't like making videos like this, really. It's not particularly fun, but I do think it needs to be done from time to time, especially when you have a game that on its surface looks like it could have a lot of promise, which is where I was at with FLV. Also, I need to say, like, right off the bat, before we even get into the formal setup of everything, like, Fight Life Vanguard? I should have known that was a red flag right off the hook. Like, what is this? Clash Royale Requiem? Like, it doesn't tell me anything about what the game is. It certainly doesn't match the tone of what we're being presented here. So, okay. This isn't going to be a particularly long one because, as I mentioned, I was only able to make myself play an hour of this game before I got so terribly bored of it that I had to go do something else. And I don't like saying that. I don't like being overly harsh. You know, people put a lot of time and effort into making their games, but I mean, I gotta be an honest person as well. That's kind of the whole point, right? There's some redeeming qualities. We're gonna talk about what's good, what's bad, what I liked, what I didn't like. So let's begin, shall we? We can talk about the story. There's basically no story. You are a villager, and monsters have moved into town, and you get betrayed, and an old wizard shows up and starts ordering you around to go do stuff. It's an excuse plot, and that's fine. You know, not every tactics or strategy game, not every game in general needs to have a grand, cohesive narrative, but it definitely helps with keeping a game compelling. So when it doesn't exist, and there's already not a lot else to keep you engaged, well, So anyway, moving on from the story, we can talk about the sound and the OST. I heard the same droning, I don't know, gothic choir track on like a 2-minute loop for the first 45 minutes of playing the game. And even when we do get a new track, also not particularly interesting or engaging, kind of generic, kind of just like whatever background noise. And the SFX are really not much better. You get kind of meaty hits when you attack things, but you need that sense of tactile feedback when you're in a tactics game and things are kind of slow. And we're going to talk about slow in a second here, but you need that idea of like, I'm swinging a great maul at someone's head. It needs to sound like I just crushed a dude's head, because I'm only getting a few of these swings periodically, you know, like it needs to hit, and things do not hit here. So, okay, well, we're striking out on the story and the SFX. Visually, how's the game? I do like the way that it looks. You know, we're in a hex-based, turn-based tactics game, and while things are a little bit blurry in a way because of the pixel art style graphics, it's not in any way an impediment to being able to see what's going on. Granted, the item and skill UI at the bottom of the screen is a little weird until you get a few battles in and start like getting some abilities and stuff, and like you see what's going on, and then it reads better. But the actual battlefield map looks fine. I can see who my sword and board guy is, who my archer is, who my mage is. I can differentiate the different types of enemies. Cool. No issue there. And navigating around the maps, like, I can easily tell what is an interactable barrel. I can see NPCs. I can read the different aspects of the environment. All good there. Totally fine. So what about the gameplay and the mechanics? Well, as mentioned, Fight Life Vanguard is a turn-based tactics game set on a hex grid style map, where you and a squad of dudes of different classes run through a completely linear map, just running directly face first into battles to engage with whatever enemies are in those battles before you move on, and rinse and repeat for the entire time that you're playing. Eventually, you'll run up on a boss fight. There's very little different there, but we'll talk about that. Characters are broken up into classes in Fight Life Vanguard, and they run the gamut of pretty standard things. You've got hunters that are able to use bow and arrow. You've got like sentinel, soldier, guardsmen who are your sword and borders. You've got warriors who've got big two-handed weapons, acolytes that can use spells. Standard fare. That's fine, nothing wrong with it. As you complete battles and your characters successfully survive those battles, you will level up and be able to unlock upgrades and promotions as you would expect. Every single character that I used had the same upgrades, either get health or get defense for level 1, and then auto-promote into their new class at level 2, which didn't do anything actively. I got no new abilities, I got no new anything, but I think stat boosts. I'm not entirely sure. So that was interesting. You don't ever get weapon upgrades or anything of the like. The most you're going to find for equipment is talismans and rings that do such glorious things as give you a +2 to defense, or give your caster +1 to the damage of their magic attacks. Inspiring. You will get consumables, and you will use consumables regularly, because there's very little in the way of any sort of healing or support. So health potions are going to be what you spend 90% of your money on. You will find these items and this money as you traverse the, again, completely linear paths from map to map, stringing along the occasional story fight that boils down to, oh god, the spiders are encroaching on the village, or oh god, there's bandits who are looking for magic items. And it doesn't get much deeper than that. And, you know, granted, I'll take the hit there. I did only play the first hour, but there certainly wasn't a lot happening to grab me there, so, you know, whatever. If a character gets downed, they do take an injury. If they get downed again, then they are permanently out of that map. There's not permadeath as far as I've seen in a traditional sense, just a, hey, you have to survive to the end of the map, and if you happen to lose a dude along the way, well, you're just down a dude. Good luck. Battles proceed along a standard initiative order, and you are able to swap between any given character that has not yet gone for your current player phase. And this is where we're going to get into a little bit of the mechanical stuff that I do enjoy. There's a big focus on positioning and utilization of your defense stat, which is increased or changed depending on what class you are, what abilities you utilize, and any equipped accessories that happen to boost it. As you take hits, your defense will be reduced, although by no more than a 50% of your total value in one hit. And as your defense goes down, you'll start taking damage on your health as well until your defense is completely gone and you're just tanking things on your health bar. Combine this with the fact that each character has essentially 1 extra life in terms of the injury system, and you have a lot of back and forth in terms of trying to keep someone on the front lines, take a bunch of hits, pull them back, try and use abilities or items, or just wait for the battle to end so that their defense can come back, while another frontliner gets in the way instead. Trying to not take too many hits on your backline, your archers, your mages, but maybe 1 or 2 here, just to keep too much damage from stacking on your frontliners. There's some good push and pull there, and that's complemented by the fact that there's a system of sort of like advantages and disadvantages, where as you continue to attack the same target, even between multiple different of your own guys, they will get a stacking debuff that makes them take more and more damage per hit until they inevitably die, and the same thing goes for you. You can help to mitigate this again with abilities and certain trinkets, or by attacking back after you've been hit, which in most cases will take some of that kind of pressure off of you. So you are incentivized to be smart about what you're attacking and with who, to make sure no one's getting too much of a surrounded bonus on them and start taking massive amounts of extra damage. A system I've never really seen before, and which was very interesting and compelling, at least for a little while. Each class has different abilities, which are sometimes a little bit more intuitive than others. For example, your mage has 2 different types of magic attacks: a big AoE fire ability that can hit anything, and a more focused attack that goes off in an area around them but doesn't hit allies, incentivizing you to get them into the fray a little bit. Again, maybe take a hit or 2 to take the pressure off your frontliners, and then fall back again so he doesn't take too much damage while still having been able to do a bunch of damage to the enemy. Cool, great. Other abilities will apply more defense or cripple an enemy's legs so that they can't move as quickly. All standard stuff, and gives you a little bit of room to play around with things. However, that's all the gameplay was the entire time that I was playing, and essentially you're just going from battle to battle, scooping up each individual little item that you find along the path, which is very easy to not miss. So it wore thin extremely quickly. Battles became a cycle of shield guy and warrior run up, try and jump one thing to kill it quickly. Archer and mage weaken something else. At the start of the new phase, hope that one of the two melee guys can finish off the other thing that got weakened, lest they get overwhelmed and killed before we're able to clear out enough of the enemy. Rinse, repeat forever. Enemy variety is extremely slim. You'll run into human bandits who just use the same classes as you, spiders, little ones that are just little nibblers, and then big ones that can poison you if they damage your health. Some goblins that have ranged blow darts that can poison you and melee weapons, and then a couple of skeletons that are basically just souped up versions of human enemies. Even in the different types of enemies that there was basically very little difference and variety in what they actually did. You either had melee units or ranged units. Other than poison, I was never really dealing with any sort of debuffs or various other different systems to manage with my guys. There's no cover. There's no ways to get extra movement, to navigate around, to manipulate turn orders. Maybe some of those things come down the line as you get promotions and hopefully get new abilities, but I could not be bothered to play long enough to try and find that out. And even if you do, I have little confidence that it would be engaging enough to suddenly revitalize the game and make you want to continue forward. On top of all of those more specific issues, the game is just slow. Like, look at me walking around. This is the maximum pace at which you're navigating a map. You will always be plodding along at this absolute breakneck pace. And combined with the droning music and the generally not super interesting combat, it just makes it feel like you're slogging away. If there was other little side paths to follow on maps, bonus objectives, side missions you could go on, that might at least help. But once you realize that you're just following the same sort of twisting path towards an end objective that may or may not have a story fight at the end, you realize that there's really not much that you want to see here. And the game's not even particularly challenging if you wanted to approach it from that angle. Like, well, yeah, it's slow and it's kind of dull, but at least if there's like a good tactical challenge I can sink my teeth into, then that can keep me engaged. I can get the satisfaction of overcoming a puzzle. I was playing on the maximum difficulty and like just kind of running through, man. Like, yeah, I would have some characters go down sometimes. It's not like I was playing particularly carefully because I didn't know exactly what I was getting myself into. I was just learning the ropes. But literally the only time I wiped at all was in a big fight against the spider matriarch. And that was a boss fight. And you know what? Yeah, I should probably wipe at least once when I'm new to the game and playing on hard. But even then, it wasn't particularly like nail biting or anything. I just got overwhelmed. I was like, okay, I'm done. I don't need to play any more of this. It's a real shame, but every once in a while you come across a game that clearly effort was put into it, but it just feels uninspired in a way that does not make you want to engage any further with it. And Fight Life Vanguard is exactly that type of title. And for $15 US on Steam, currently on a 20% discount, I just don't see it being worth the money. There's so many other deep, interesting, inspired games made with passion that you can spend your time with just in the turn-based tactics space. I would love to see more with Fight Life Vanguard. I would love to see updates, changes to systems, a deepening of mechanics, a branching out of maps, anything to give it a little bit of spice. But as it is right now, it's like putting an unseasoned boiled chicken breast and some white rice on a plate, plopping it down in front of someone and saying, $15, please. No, thank you. I would rather do anything else with my time. If you do want to check out Fight Life Vanguard for yourself, I do highly recommend that you do so if you want to form your own opinion, whether it be through other gameplay videos or you decide that you want to pick it up for yourself and play it and get hands-on. You know, maybe you'll enjoy it. Maybe you just want a simple, chill experience in a tactics game, and if that means that this game is for you, totally fine. Fair enough. However, I cannot in good faith recommend this as a strong turn-based tactics title, especially with, again, how many games are on the market now. And I do think that unless major updates come, you would be better off spending your time and money somewhere else. Let me know your thoughts on the game, whether from my coverage or from your own experience, down in the comments below. Provide some feedback, provide some criticism, and if there's anything in particular that you'd like to see me review next, do please let me know and I'll see if I can work it into the schedule. For now though, I'm going to wrap this one up here. My name has been Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman. I hope that you all have a good night. Stay safe and healthy out there, everybody. And remember, be good to each other. Bye now.